All right, it is our first Football Friday live in Los Angeles. It's the Herd. Wherever you may be, however you may be listening, thanks for making us part of your day. I decided I caved. I'm going to do a blazing 5 in 1 hour. You know, I've already wrote down on a ledger at home 0-5. I know I'm not going to win any of these, but I will say I love my picks. I just caved. I finally said, you know what? It's football season. Who cares? I mean, a lot of good teams. I mean, the Ravens are a good team. They lost their opener. It's okay. You can survive. I'm going to be okay. I do appreciate that.
Go Eagles!
Yeah, Packers-Eagles play the night in Brazil, which is kind of a weird place for the NFL's second game of the year. But let's start with this. Kansas City 27, Baltimore 20. I said this last year, and I've said it this year. Last year's Chiefs team, that may have been the team to beat because they had a water pistol offense. I mean, they couldn't move the ball. They had no deep threat. It was dink and dunk as much as Mahomes can do that. And you had a chance to beat him. And the league couldn't because that's not what they are anymore. Now Noah Grant, they got another tight end, and Noah Gray and Travis Kelce. You got 2 tight ends. Now you got Xavier Worthy. A little bit of a gadget guy, but speed merchant over the top. They have lacked that for several years. Rashee Rice looks like a number 1, an absolute number 1. Hollywood Brown, who's dangerous, will return. And Juju Smith-Schuster, who they just reacquired. It's going to take him a while to get up to speed, but he knows the offense. He'll be like your number 3 or your number 4. Outside of right tackle, and they weren't good at right tackle last year, this is a better team than last year. Much, much faster offensively, much deeper at wide receiver, much more functional at wide receiver. And here's the thing. Great companies in any business give you these little brief moments to make up ground. And last year was the year to make up ground because they couldn't score. They were so vulnerable, they had to go on the road in the playoffs to Baltimore. They had to go on the road to Buffalo. And they still won. Last year was the year to get him, and nobody got him. They're not perfect. Mahomes had a terrible pick last night, almost 2. They were dominated in time of possession, and their defense looked absolutely gassed at the end of the football game. They're not perfect, but they're so good in these close games. Number 2 in the NFL last year in close games. They are so confident in these games with the best coach and the best quarterback. You got to wrap them up early, and Baltimore didn't. Now, Xavier Worthy's fascinating. I said when he got drafted, he's a 165-pound track guy. He's not gonna dominate the league. He's a gadget guy. He's not going to be a 9, 10, 12 target guy. That's going to be Rashee Rice. There are a lot of guys in the league like that. Devontae Adams is that guy. Jamar Chase, when he get back, he's that guy. Puka Nacua for the Rams is going to be that guy. But they needed a gadget guy. They needed an over-to-the-top guy. And yes, he's small. And yes, he's I don't know how durable he is. He was hurt a lot in college. But nobody in the NFL is going to draw up plays better for Xavier Worthy than one Andy Reid. And nobody will deliver the ball on those drawn-up plays better than Patrick Mahomes. So he really is something they need. And last night, Mahomes averaged 10 yards per attempt. That was more than any game last year. And a lot of that's Xavier Worthy. He's allowing other stuff to flourish. And so I watched them last night, and I'm thinking, man, you guys all had a chance in this league. You got them on the road in the playoffs last year. You know, you got Kansas City had to go on the road last year. They didn't have any over-the-top element last year. They were okay in the offensive line. They were insanely thin. I mean, Rashee Rice was their best receiver last year, and he looked like a 3. Well, now he looks like a 1. And so my take is this is a much more explosive version of the team that won the last 2 Super Bowls, and here's Mahomes after.
Just having him out there, it just opens up stuff. I mean, you saw when he's out there, they're playing shell coverages. It's getting guys like Trav, and it's getting guys like Rashee open underneath. And that's what's so great about this offense is we're able to do all of that. And that's when we're at our best. And so, like I said, we get Hollywood out there too. It's going to be tough for defense to decide who they want to cover.
So, Lamar Jackson is somebody I've spent a better part of the last 5 years defending. Last night, 25 first downs, more than Kansas City. Rushing first downs, 3 times as many as Kansas City. Third down efficiency, much better than Kansas City. Interceptions, none. Kansas City had 1. Time of possession, they dominated. Even against a great, young, twitchy defense, the top defensive coordinator arguably in the NFL. Steve Spagnuolo was at wit's end. What do you do against this guy? Now, Lamar doesn't throw the ball downfield, in my opinion, well enough. He doesn't throw it downfield like a Josh, a Stafford, an Aaron Rodgers, a Mahomes. First half, he averaged 1.1 air yards per attempt. Got better in the second half, but he doesn't do that like the top 4 or 5 guys in the league. And there's no way he can play like he played last night the rest of the season. He took a beating. 16 carries. He was like a running back. And he's lost weight, so he's thinner. He cannot play that way. But I kind of understand why last night he played that way. Because it's Kansas City. It's his nemesis. It's his arch rival. It's the team he's trying to get over. It's the Tiger for Mickelson. It's the MJ for Barkley. I get it. And so that effort is not a sustainable effort. Your quarterback cannot take that beating. And I don't think he will. I think he'll slide. He'll run out of bounds. He'll have 7 carries, not 16. He was so fired up last night, he talked John Harbaugh, one of the better situational coaches in football, to go for it at midfield. And, you know, the Chiefs carved it up, sniffed it out. So I do think it was a unique night where Lamar just said, I want to do it. But I'll tell you this. He is on a short list of quarterbacks in this league, and it may be 1 or 2 max, that can get the ball at the noisiest NFL stadium against the great defense, the league's best defensive coordinator. There's 1 timeout and 1:50 left, and he gets them to within an inch, the end of a cleat, from potentially tying or winning the game. The dude is 1 of 1. He is so unique and so great. People say, well, he didn't play that great. Mahomes had a terrible pick and almost 2. But Mahomes is a legend. I talked about this the other day. We spend so much time on shows like this, not just mine, others, criticizing great players who can't beat legends. You know what? Who's beating Mahomes? And I thought Lamar last night on that last drive, I compared it last night on my podcast. I said, he's like, if you watch the high school football game and there was only one Division I player and it was a quarterback, and he was just running around making people miss. I mean, Lamar makes other great players for Kansas City defensively totally flummoxed. They're just kind of hoping he tires out. So the only thing I saw between these two teams that I think is trouble, especially for Baltimore, is offensive line play. These are not great offensive lines. These are not the Lions' offensive lines. Baltimore's, I think, will get better. I think Kansas City's is what it is. It's not going to be great at right tackle. But I got to tell you, I'm going to defend Lamar Jackson forever. 1:50, 1 timeout, Spags, Kansas City, Arrowhead, gets down to the 13-yard line. The kid is just absolutely unreal. Only Mahomes. That's the last hurdle he can't get over. Just Mahomes, and nobody else can either. Here was Lamar after.
You've called Kansas City your kryptonite in the past. It
ain't my kryptonite. It's not my kryptonite.
What's that?
It's not my kryptonite. I believe our offense got we got new additions, and we just getting adjusted, you know. I don't want to say preseason is the reason, because it wasn't, because we battled. You know, you can see it, we put points on the board, and we just got to do what we got to do to win those games. Simple.
Listen, Kansas City's offense averaged 7.1 yards a play. Baltimore's offense averaged 6.1 yards a play, and that yard is because of a broken coverage that let Xavier Worthy get a touchdown. You take that broken coverage out, they both average about 6 yards a play. That's a heavyweight fight. I grew up as a kid. It was Ali Frazier fought 3 times. Ali won 2, Frazier won 1, and I'm just waiting for that one big win for Lamar and the Ravens. But that was great football, great teams, great coaching, great franchises. Lamar's getting past everybody, just not that guy. And that last drive, I'm sitting there on my couch thinking, who can do this? You find me I don't think there is anybody. I mean, you find me a quarterback in this league, Spags, that defense, Chris Jones, that pass rush, Arrowhead Stadium, 1 timeout, 1:50. You tell me who can do that drive. I don't know. I don't see a lot of guys. That's something else. And there's where we are after our first game. Tonight, thank you, James Jones. Tonight, it's Green Bay and Philadelphia. I like Green Bay. You like Philadelphia. That's a stay-away game for me. I'm going to do the Blazing 5. That's not one of my picks. I say sometimes I just want to watch the game. I want to watch the game. I don't know what to make of it. I like Green Bay, but Brazil throws everything off. So I don't feel like a game in Mexico City or Europe. Even the London games or the European games have been a little quirky. You know, like you go over there and you're like, it's just a different feel. Brazil's other side of the earth, so I don't know what I'm getting. Yeah. But I thought last night was spectacular.
I would largely agree on spectacular night, but I totally disagree with your Lamar Jackson take. I mean, you're like, how many guys can do that? What did he do? Miss receivers open in the end zone?
Well, he did miss one receiver.
He was 1 for 5.